Hi, I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Peoria, Arizona at the Friday night cruise put on every week by the Mustangs West Car Club. Great group of people and a lot of great cars here tonight. You are going to get a chance to see some of these cars, meet some of the owners, and hear some great music. So do what I tell you to do every week. Just kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. When I was about 12 years old, growing up in Tacoma, Washington, there was this guy in my neighborhood who was really scary. All of us were terrified of this guy. He drove a '56 Packard Executive, yellow, just like this one, and we used to sneak up when he wasn't around and push up and down on the back of these cars. If you know Packards, you know they have a self-leveling system and it would rise up. Well, Roy CROWE, as it turned out, about 2 years later, this scary guy in the neighborhood ended up being my stepdad. And he actually was a really great guy, Bob Bass in Tacoma, Washington. Roy CROWE, this is a very nice 1956 Packard Executive. How did this come into your ownership?
Well, thank you, sir. It's been in the Packard Club before I purchased it from one of our Packard Club members. He purchased it from the original owner. So when the original owner passed away, then that was handed down to me indirectly.
Have you done a restoration on it, or how much of this is original and how much of it is made to refurbish to look like it does now?
Well, I had it repainted about 18 years ago, and when I got it, and I had the seats inserted, but by and large, most of the interior is still original. As far as mechanically, I replaced a water pump or something like that, but it's mechanically extremely sound.
This is the last year of Packards, as you well know, the 56, and then 57 there were Packards, but they were Studebakers with stuff bolted on them, and were no longer the elegant car that they used to be. Why do you think that happened?
Well, it was poor management on the high-level executives. First place, some of the other cars, like General Motors cars, were coming out with a lot of gingerbread and a lot of fancy stuff, but they were cutting the quality. Packard said, if we have to cut the quality in order to compete price-wise, forget it. We'll go out of business, because Packard has been a prestige car and a quality car, and we're not going to cheapen it.
There's still a lot of Packards around, but you don't really see many of them at car shows. What kind of reaction do you get when you show up at a car show?
Well, so many, the younger people, they say, who made that? Did Ford make that car? And no, they were an independent, just like Hudson and some of the others. But they thought, well, man, that's quite an automobile. How do you drive something that big compared to the small cars that we have today? I said, it drives like a baby carriage.
What's the powertrain on it? It's a flathead straight 8, or what is that?
It's a V8. They had, in 54 was the last year of the flathead straight 8, and 55 and 56 they used the V8. This is 275 horsepower, 380 pound of torque at only 2,800 RPMs. It's 352 cubic inches. And this car has posi rear end, dual exhaust, and 4 barrels, all factory.
Well, back in the 50s and 60s, before everybody thought you had to have a Chev or a Ford motor and whatever, there were a lot of Packard V8s that ended up in hot rods.
That's true. Matter of fact, the Studebaker Golden Hawk, it had the Packard V8 engine in it, and it was one of the hottest cars on the road at that time.
Do people recognize now what a classy car Packard was back then, or is it just if this said Bel Air on it, you'd get a lot more respect, or do people realize that this was even though the company was on its last legs, it still was a pretty classy car?
Oh yes, they were. As a matter of fact, so many people, especially the older people who can relate to the Packard, they say, oh, hey, that was a real car. Prestige-wise, they were here. Cadillac and Lincoln was here. So they always qualified that the movie stars, the executives, the wealthy people, the politicians, and so forth, all wanted a Packard. Whether they had any money or not, everybody thought they did if they were driving a Packard.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were the richest guy in the place when I saw you roll in with this. So, Roy CROWE, thank you very much. A beautiful car, and keep up the good work.
My pleasure, sir, and thank you.
Larry GERKE, this is a beautiful 1962 Buick Skylark, and it looks like it probably did the day it rolled out of the factory.
Well, thank you very much. It's just been a real fun car for me, and it's about a 95% restoration on it.
How long have you had it?
Well, it's been in our family for 16 years now, and this car used to, it sat in a restaurant for 10 years in San Diego, California, and then they closed the restaurant down and it became available, and we picked it up about 16 years ago.
So they were using it for a salad bar or something earlier?
Yeah, there's still a little lettuce in the back. No.
What kind of restaurant? It was just sitting in the corner, a 50s?
A 60s restaurant, 50s, 60s restaurant. They had a 50s car in there, and then they had a 60s car in there.
Something I've noticed on Skylarks and Tempests and some of the GM mid-size cars or compact cars, that it used to be everybody wanted a GTO or wanted a whatever, but now this was what the secretary's hot rod, or what did they call this?
They called this a school teacher's hot rod because it has the V8 aluminum head engine in it. Yes.
And that aluminum head engine was actually kind of successful, wasn't it? Even though they stopped doing it for whatever reason.
Yes, it was. And afterwards, they had a lot of those engines left over, and they shipped them over to England, where they used them in the
Rover?
English Fords, the Rovers, and then even in airplanes.
In airplanes.
Yeah. This thing hasn't taken off and flied yet. So.
Well, I'd be happy to ride in a 62 Buick, but I don't know if I want to fly in a 62 Buick.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty powerful little car for about a 3,000-pound car with that V8 engine in it.
You're surrounded with hot rods in here and some pretty radical customs in here. What kind of reception do you get with the a stock 62 Buick?
I think one of the unique things is the way cars today are so generic, and the 16 to 25-year-olds are really come over and they just start drooling. They're really impressed because this car has a body style to it, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I get is I get a lot of young people that really go, what kind of car is that? And they're very impressed.
And back in '62, this was considered a really small car, and now it's the same size car as an awful lot of them that are being made now.
That's true. That's true. It is. And it's just a fun car to have. I sometimes even use it as a daily driver, so...
Well, the next time I'm in Peoria, is there going to be a big blower sticking out of the hood here and giant?
I don't think so. I'm going to keep this baby just the way she is.
Well, Larry, that's a good choice. Thank you very much for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
Much.
Great car.
I appreciate it.
Every time you go to a cruise like this, there's always a car that draws more attention than some of the other cars. You're looking at it. This 51 Pontiac, which David Goulette here says is sort of kind of a 51 Pontiac. We'll let him explain that. But you have something pretty neat here. You have some newer kind of high-tech lighting in places, but you have also a traditional custom. What do you got going on here?
It's just accent lights that we put on it, and just to accent the car itself. As far as the chrome and the light on the hood is original. That's all original. Everything else is kind of added by.
Well, tell me about it. You've chopped it. You've French headlights, all kinds of stuff. What all have you done to it?
Well, the car's been chopped 4 inches. The Pontiac body actually sits on a Monte Carlo chassis. The whole driveline is Monte Carlo. The headlights been French. It has 89 Cadillac taillights in it. All the paint on it is actually a Cadillac PPG color that you can actually buy out of the showroom of Chevrolet. The driveline is basically stock. It's basically a Monte Carlo with a Pontiac body on it is what it is.
Well, Monte Carlo, so it's a 350 in there or 327?
307.
307. Yeah, what year of Monte Carlo?
76. Yeah.
A lot of tradition in this and a lot of newer high tech with the Monte Carlo underpinning on all of this. How did that come about?
I'm not really sure how the Monte Carlo thing came about as far as what they use. A friend of mine originally built the car. He bought it, and it was started to be done, and he finished it in '91. And as far as drivability, it drives just like a Monte Carlo. I mean, just total drivability to it. I drive it a lot.
You know what makes this body cooler than a Chev the same year, which are basically the same body, but you know what it is? You do know what it is.
Well, it's a little bit of everything.
Well, it's this right here.
Oh, the silver streak.
The silver streak on the front and the back.
Yeah, that's it. And the things like this, these fenders are pulled out a little bit, so it gives it a boat effect. So, and where all the other Chevrolets are pretty much straight, and grill, the part of the grill isn't a standard grill. Part of it's Chevrolet, part of it's Pontiac. Kind of a little bit whatever we felt looked good.
Well, David, it looks great. It's a beautiful 1951 Pontiac, and thank you for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
Thank you.
Joe Fisher, it is a beautiful October but still summer-like night here in Peoria, Arizona. Spotted your truck. Don't see many of these. 35 Chevrolet pickup truck. Kind of unusual. Tell us about it.
Well, it's my first car. I bought it when I was 15 years old, so I've had it for quite a while. It didn't look like this, obviously, but this truck was built in Seattle. Dan Peterson, we completely rebuilt the whole frame, did a brand new frame, 2x4 box tubing. Art Morrison did the rear clip, and then Dan did a lot of the metal work, and Bob Claspy did a lot of different individual pieces that needed to be completely handmade as far as the metal work. Rich Thayer from R&J Customs laid the paint, did the flames, all hand laid the flames, and then I did the construction in the assembly in my garage at home in Des Moines before we moved here 5 years ago.
It's not a Ford. It's not it's not typical of what you see. It is a Chevrolet, but the cabs looks a little bit different to me than because of the top over the windshield.
Yeah, what it is, it's a high top cab that's been chopped 4 inches. So that's why the top of the cab looks completely different. I wanted to maintain a lot of the originality. We left the original hood ornament, headlights, taillights, bumper. I didn't want to take away and distract from what the truck truly was. It's an all steel truck. There's no fiberglass. And I wanted to retain the originality of the truck. Mm-hmm. So
the running gear on it?
It's a 69 396 big block. It's 402 cubic inch now. It's about 600 horse. It's got a narrowed 9-inch with a strange engineering pumpkin, and then a Heights all full stainless front suspension.
You say you moved here from the Northwest partly because of the weather. We've shot several shows in Arizona up in the Lake Havasu area.
Right.
When I started investigating what's going on in this part of the Phoenix area, I was just blown away by the number of cruises that are here and car shows that are here and year-round. This is Mecca.
Yeah, well, in the summertime I have to shut her down. It gets way too hot here, obviously, in the summertime. But the other 9-10 months of the year, this is what you have, and it's just great because you can actually drive them the way you built them for, and that's what I do. I drive it a lot.
You came out of the Northwest, you come here to the Phoenix area. What kind of difference do you notice between the car community back in the Northwest and the car community here?
Well, what I find is cars are from all over the country. So you see a lot of different influences and build styles, which is nice and interesting. Also, too, we get to use our cars a lot more down here than I did in the Northwest. Didn't get to drive it a whole lot up there. The weather wouldn't allow it. So, but here I get to drive it around a lot more, hit the different cruises. There's a good shows, and it's just a lot more fun down here.
Well, I have been unsuccessful at talking Mrs. Lambert into moving down here, but
I suggest everybody move down here, but I'm kind of tainted in that way, I guess.
All right. Well, Joe, enjoy your taintedness and your hot rod scene here in Peoria, and thanks a lot for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
You're welcome.
John Ball, you have a beautiful 1951 Chevrolet pickup truck that is sort of kind of stock, but sort of not. Tell us about it.
Mostly stock, but partly custom. I decided to do like I would have done when I was a kid. You know, take the 6-cylinder engine, put dual carbs on it, headers, glass pack mufflers, so it has a nice little purr. And then I put pleat and roll upholstery and a carpet customized the interior a little bit. But mostly, as you can see, it looks like a stock 51 Chevy.
A little bit of pinstriping here and there.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that myself.
And a 235.
Yes. A little later engine. The original 216 engine that was in the truck was kind of sick, so I had an opportunity to get a hold of this 235 engine, so we took it, rebuilt it, and put it in.
This particular body style of pickup truck is kind of unique in that I probably see more of these that are left stock, that aren't chopped and aren't dropped and aren't channeled than maybe some of the other trucks that are out there. Why do you think that the originality of the body style seems to be more appreciated than just grabbing it and altering it?
Well, it was a great design. Chevrolet, when they came out with this design in like 47, they kept it through 53. It was just, they made a lot of these trucks, and true, a lot of them were customized, dropped, and put modern V8 engines in them, but a lot of them remain stock, and I'm a purist myself, pretty much, as with my other cars. So I decided to do it like this.
You shared with me off camera that you have some pretty nice old Packards, and those are chair cars. Those are luxury cars. Tonight you drove the farm implement out. You drove out the pickup truck. How come you're not driving the cushy Packard? What is it about this truck that makes you want to drive it?
Well, I'm not too afraid to bring this out in traffic. And when I left my house, and I live quite a ways from here, there was a lot of traffic. It was 5:30 traffic, and I wasn't sure where this place was, and I thought, I don't want to get, my Caribbean. I have a beautiful 53 Caribbean convertible that's, they're going for upwards of $150,000 to $200,000. I don't like to get it out in traffic and take a chance on getting it banged up. Then I have another Packard, a 57 Packard Clipper made by Studebaker, and it's in show condition also, and in a 39 Packard that I have that I just sold. So I'm kind of a Packard guy at heart, but I had a chance to get this Chevy from a relative that owed me some money. So I took the Chevy and decided to restore it.
When you go into a cruise or a car show, do you get a different reaction if you're driving one of your Packards as opposed to driving the pickup?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there are people that really walk up to this car and they really love looking at it. They love the everything about it. And sometimes they'll just walk right by the Packard and won't pay attention. And then there's other people that appreciate the Packards, and they just walk by this. So it's a lot of old car people have a lot of different tastes.
I had a 70 Chev pickup at one time that was chopped and dropped and pretty radical custom work done to it. And the comment that was made to me by several people was, "You don't seem like a truck guy." And that statement was a mystery to me. Are you a truck guy? What is a truck guy?
Well, yeah, I'm a truck guy. I drive a modern truck for my everyday use because I do a lot of hauling. And I had a chance to pick, I'd known about this vehicle for several years. It sat in a guy's backyard for 25 years. It was just going to rack and ruin. And he gave it to one of his relatives, and then that relative gave it to me. I just saw it had possibilities, and it's because it's a truck, I liked it and I restored it.
Well, you're the nicest truck guy I've met here tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, and thank you for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show, and it's a beautiful truck.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you very much.
What a great time we've had here in Peoria, Arizona at the Mustangs West Friday Night Cruise. A lot of great cars, a lot of great people. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, tune in next time. Until then, bye-bye. A lot of great cars, a lot of great people. So I'm going to have you do what I have you to do every